Alrighty, guys, we're going to get into another tank compare episode here. This time it is going to be who is the king of Tier 10 heavy tank autoloaders, AMX 50B versus the T57 heavy tank. Getting right into it here, both these tanks are not going to be with any provisions, any equipment, just the raw stats. Getting into DPM, T57 Heavy has the edge here. Uh, Penetration, T57 Heavy again has a 1mm edge. That's not really significant. Same alpha. T57 Heavy has a slightly higher rate of fire. Has 22.05 second clip reload, whereas the AMX 50B has a 22 second. So marginal difference there. The increase in DPM comes mainly between what I think is the best advantage the T57 Heavy has in the fact that it can put all three of its shells out in 5 seconds after the first shell is fired, whereas the 50B needs 6 seconds, which is just about enough time for one of the Russian mediums to put 2 shots into you. So I think the AMX or T57 Heavy rather maximizes the ability to trade. Both of them have identical shell velocity and caliber. Really looking really quickly at the uh, premium pen, again, you'll see that they both have 340 with 340 alpha. So not a ton of difference there. Aim time, the T57 Heavy will have a slightly better aim time. AMX 50B will have a slightly better accuracy. They have almost identical, do have identical gun stats. AMX 50B, again, I think this is the best advantage that it has. Its 10 degrees of gun depression really allows it to work ridge lines a lot better. They are both relatively limited on 12 degrees of gun elevation, although 8 degrees of gun depression on the T57 Heavy isn't terrible. Again, going to some place where the T57 Heavy, I feel, really does fall behind the AMX 50B is the movement and mobility stats. T57 Heavy is a whopping 29% behind the AMX 50B for movement, as well as horsepower, power to weight, effective power to weight, although it does have slightly better terrain resistances and traverse. Again, edge definitely goes to AMX 50B there. Credit coefficient, uh, edge to AMX 50B, slightly identical view range. The 50B does have more hit points, which again allows it to do a trade a little bit better. Hull armor, though, is nominally the 57 Heavy has better hull armor, but we will take a look at their armor in a bit on Armor Inspector. Again, nominally the 50B has better turret armor, but we will get into the armor here right now. Go into the old armorinspector.com. Gonna choose our testing tank to be a tier 10 monster heavy tank, the IS-7. Target, first off, we will look at the French tier 10 heavy autoloader. So first off, looking straight on here, you can see that the turret is pretty much paper except for the area around the gun, while the upper hull is exceptionally strong. This upper plate and especially the lower plate when you start angling is very, very, very strong. So if you're going to shoot this tank, shoot it either here on the shoulders or in the turret. But again, there are some weird areas where you will get bounces. So as a 50B starts moving his turret, you'll start getting some odd angles, and it's really frustrating bouncing off the turret of a AMX 50B. Using the full gun depression, you can see that this thing starts getting actually a pretty decent lower cheeks here. Um, 228, which means that some of your Russian mediums, you might start getting into bits that are awkward to pen. So yeah, lower plate, you're not going to pen that. It's a very, very strong upper plate and upper glacis. So it's not great, but it's very troll, very awkward to pen. So we're going to take a look now at the T57 Heavy, which did recently get a turret buff. Very odd model, but you can see that the area around the gun is pretty dang strong. Take a look at it without gun depression. You can see that the upper plate is not very great at all. It has this huge, massive lower plate. The upper glacis You can angle it a little bit, but it is a lot like the M48 Patton. It's pretty much an identical hull to that. Can't really side scrape with the tank, although you do get this weird curved area where you can get some troll side scraping bounces. Oh, I forgot to go. Another big downside to the AMX 50B, which I forgot to mention, is if you take a look at the x-ray of its armor here, the side armor on this thing is exceptionally bad. You're talking about 30 millimeters, so everything in the game can HE the side of this tank. Everything can HE the rear. If you get the side of this tank, you can roll for massive damage with HE. So that's just a word of warning. Use HE on the sides and rear of the AMX 50B. Getting back into the T57 Heavy. You can see that its frontal hull armor of 203 is really only here in this section. Above that, it's 127 millimeters. Its cheeks, 145. Front of its turret's 145, but you have a lot of angling, so it's pretty decent, honestly. If we go back into pen, using its gun depression, it's pretty troll. If you wiggle your turret, move it, as you move, you get some weird angles. Go to red and green, you can see the angle's a little bit better. Your upper plate becomes pretty good, really good actually, with gun depression. And as you move around, if you start waggling back and forth, you can get some pretty nice bounces on its turret. Anyways, guys, we're going to hop into some pretty decent gameplay here for both the T57 Heavy and AMX 50B. I'm not going to make any conclusions in this video. I'd like you guys to tell me what tanks you prefer, what tanks you think are more competitive. Honestly, I think right now in the current meta, the T57 Heavy with its 2.5 seconds in between shells matters a little bit more than the AMX 50B's mobility and gun depression. Just for my playstyle, I seem to like it more slow and deliberate. That's not to say that the 50B doesn't have its place. It's extremely effective. It has a lot of gun depression. Its turret is surprisingly troll against medium tanks and some heavy tanks. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this gameplay. I will try to remember to upload this video in higher quality. Apologies for my Ice 4 Ace video. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. We will get into gameplay right now. Alrighty, guys, we're going to get into the first bit of gameplay here in this T57 Heavy and AMX 50B comparison. We are going to start off with the AMX 50B here. This is the Tier 10 French heavy tank autoloader. We are going to be on mines here. This tank's actually fairly well suited to mines with its 10 degrees of gun depression. You can see our bat chat's going to be zooming up there on the hill along with our Leopard 1. He gets hit with one shot. There's a little bit of a traffic jam here. I'm trying to get up into there to stop the enemy tanks from pushing up. The Leopard keeps driving in front of my gun, so I'm not quite able to get shots here. I do bounce off of his upper plate, so I now have 2 left in my magazine. Our T62A takes a lot of damage going up. Our Batchat's taking even more damage up there on the top. The enemy team has a lot of health, and they have 2 STBs that are able to use their pretty decent turrets to poke that ridge line. Again, I'm still keeping just 2 rounds in my magazine because I don't want those STBs to be able to push up and take out our mediums up on the hill, because those guys are very low on health, and again, that could cause a lot of hurt to us if the mediums could get up there as well. Our T62A does go down. Our 268 is peeling off over there to deal with the enemy heavy tank, so I'm just going to start poking this ridgeline a little bit. I still have 2 left. I get spotted, I back down, I do bounce a shot from a medium tank. I think that's their Leopard 1, who you will see is camping one of those corners. Take 1 hit there from the I-7 there, but I managed to put 2 back into him, so it was a pretty decent trade. I'm now on a clip reload. We have an IS-8 who's pushing that corner and is getting wrecked. The enemy M16 on my team actually goes down there in the bat chat. So now we're down 1 tank. Not too concerned because we still have a couple of TDs left alive. Enemy 704 is spotted and he needs to go out. Now I have a full clip. So I put 1 into him. I put 2, get the kill. Our IS-8's tracked here. He will die, but I managed to put an entire clip in there. So I'm just going to back off this hill. We're now still down a tank. Our 268 is fully in... Oh, not 268. Our other TD is fully engaged there, over there on the flank. I am now fully reloaded. I do take a shot there from the STB. I really should have pulled back here more, made them not be able to use their gun depression. Our SU-122-54, that's the guy over there on the flank, does start calling for help. Their SCB is able to sneak up over there. Our SU-122-54 puts a shot into that Leopard 1. I'm able to put one into him, bounce a shot, put two into him. Don't quite get a third one here. Enemy 140 is pushing across. I managed to put one into him, so those two guys are one-shots now. This is the point where I really messed up a little bit. I should have kept backing off around this hill, not let them use their gun depression. So now I should have just kept going back. It is a 2 versus 4, but I have an autoloader, which is able to put out some pretty decent clip damage. I fired APCR into the I-7 here, and the clip reload just isn't quite enough, so I dirt my next shell into the STV-1. I'm able to put all 3 shells out there again, but again, that was APCR, so now I am the last one alive, and I die. Our Leo 1 bounces off their I-7, and this is going to end up being a loss. Still pretty decent game, and I think it kind of exemplifies what the AMX 50B is pretty good at. It's decent at working ridge lines with its 10 degrees of gun depression. Has pretty good frontal hull armor. It can get some troll bounces off the turret. Yeah, 4.1k. GG to the enemy STVs from GP. They really dominated that ridgeline. GG to that guy in particular. So, ridgeline warrior for the AMX 50B. Pretty mobile, pretty good upper hull armor. So yeah, pretty decent, good showing of this tank, I think. Gonna get ready here to move on to the T57 Heavy. You can see what damage I did there. Now we're gonna be into the T57 Heavy. This one will be a win. It's just the way that the gameplay rolled out. Anyways, we are on Winter Malinovka here. Gonna be pushing up to this top corner with this reasonably mobile. I have a friend, Zax. You should check out his channel. I'll link it down below. He calls this thing the Fatten 2.0, the M48 Patent 2.0, because it's pretty much a patent turret. 268 there, utilizing its brand new gun depression. I take a big hit right at the beginning. Instead of backing off all the way, I decided to push around to get to a place where I could better use my gun depression, split the enemy's attention. We have a YOLO wagon up there in the very top corner. This tank does have 2.5 seconds between shells, so it has a little bit faster burst damage than the 50B. Fairly similar clip reloads, as you guys would have seen from the stat overview. Anyways, I was able to put 2 shells out, one into the I-7, one into the enemy 268, who is now a one-shot. Just going to get up to this corner and hide myself while I reload my magazine. The reload has gone up on this tank, which is not great, but the inner shell reload makes this tank very, very, very good for competitive issues and very fast burst damage. I'm able to put one into the I-7 here, switch my target to the enemy M48, put one into him, and I'm going to pull back before they can get another shot. I'm just going to jerk back and forth. Enemy I-7 is distracted, could put one into his lower plate. Again, pull behind this hard cover while I do the reload. Very important with your autoloaders to have hard cover that you can go to. Make sure that you're able to be safe while you go for your reload. Enemy IS-7 goes down. Bit of a mistake here. I go out, take a shot. I pull back without putting out my reloads. I went out when I wasn't fully reloaded, which was a mistake. But now I do have a full clip. One into the M46. He fires, misses. 2, 3. Don't quite get the track, but he dies before he can really do anything. 4 enemy tanks left. We have a T95 doing a very good rear guard there. Our E100 is going to push in. I'm not quite fully reloaded yet. Enemy E75 is on low health, but again, that tank is very strong frontally. Derp to heat shell into lower plate. One into him. He's going to go down in a second. No? Okay. Managed to get the kill on him. Our T95 is screaming for health with those 2 mediums over there, so I'm going to, again, utilize pretty decent mobility with this tank and just push around. Hopefully I'll get a clip reloaded. Really good job again to the T95 for holding off here. I go for the easy kill because I want to get as many tanks out of the way as possible. Our T95 misses his shot, and in 3 shells, I'm able to kill 2 enemy tanks. I think I picked up 3 or 4 kills there. I picked up 3 kills, 4.5 thousand damage, second class, top of my team, so GG to everybody there. These tanks are really just all about putting damage out and not getting hit in return. Hide between your reloads. Honestly, right now I prefer the T57 Heavy just because it's so powerful with its ability to just put out 1200 damage in 5 seconds, and it doesn't have too long of a reload. Its turret's a lot stronger than the 50B, again, as you guys would have seen in the armor inspector that we did prior to this. Yeah, it's really just a ton of fun to play both these tanks. I really like the Autoloader playstyle. Let me know which tank you guys prefer. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, and tank on.